What's going on, everybody? This is the Fly Fishing Ninja, as you can see. So, I put out the video yesterday with all the channel updates and everything that's going to be new on the channel. So, here is something that's going to be new on the channel. I'm going to attempt to do my first fly tying video. So, my camera is kind of messed up, so I have to use my iPad. So I know it's not like the, like the best clarity, but we're going to give it a shot. Alright, so I always use black thread for everything because it seems to, it kind of blends in pretty well with a lot of stuff. So you start your thread. First of all, I'm using a size 12 hook. I use a size 12. My flies are all size 12. It works really good in this river. So, got my size 12 hook, the little bead head on the front. So then, I also like to use some wire. I use extra small wire with these orange soft hackles because you don't really need it for weight because you do have the bead head on it. So what I like to use the small wire for is to hold the dubbing on. So that way your dubbing doesn't start falling off, after a couple fish or whatever. So I like to put just some small wire, just small silver wire, and make sure when you do it, you take the wire and kind of put it up underneath the bead a little bit. Kind of holds it in place, and kind of start off to the side of the hook. Nice loose wrap on here. There we go. Run it all the way down to the bend of the hook, or at least, wherever you want the dubbing to start, basically. So, I got my wire here. Let that just stay there. And I am using this, it's kind of a burnt orange dubbing. Now, you can either do a dubbing loop or you can use wax, and you put the wax on the thread. Now, a lot of people use dubbing wax on their thread. I don't have any dubbing wax, so I am using mustache wax. Now, I use this for a couple purposes because it works good as dubbing wax, plus you get it all put on there, you have some on your fingers, you can, use whatever you have left on your mustache. So it really works for me. So then, your dubbing. It is really easy to use too much dubbing, so I always just grab just a little bit of dubbing. The bodies on these don't have to be huge. They really don't. So once you get your dubbing on there, you just roll your fingers, get yourself a really nice tight dubbing noodle. That's what it's called. Kind of sounds funny, but that's actually what it's called. On here. Try to get it on there as even as possible. So you have your noodle on there. And then just start making your wraps around. Alright, there we go. Once you get your dubbing to the end, if you got too much on your thread, it's okay to just pull it off. It's not a big deal. Get the extra kind of out of there. I usually kind of make a wrap with just the thread. It holds what dubbing is kind of little strays. Okay, so now with your wire, you take your wire and you want to make sure you wrap your dubbing this way. So you want to make sure you wrap your wire the opposite way. And make sure it's a nice tight wrap. Because the purpose of the wire is to hold on the dubbing. So just make some nice tight wraps, like so. This fly actually works really good in the Deschutes River. And if you're in Idaho, this fly works really well in the Boise River. So we got our thread, we went all the way to our bead. Make a couple wraps here. When you're wrapping it, you're going a wrap on one side of the wire and then a wrap on the other side of the wire. That way you're trapping it back behind that bead. So we cut off our little piece of wire. Make sure your thread's out of the way so you don't cut that off. So it's okay if there's like dubbing poking out and stuff. It actually kind of makes the fly a little better. And then things like that happen and your thread breaks. Okay, and then for the hackle part of it, I'm using partridge feathers is what I'm using. And what you do is you pull off, I think it's called, I'm not really sure, it's called the down, which is the little fuzzy feathers. You pull them off, and then you grab the tip of the feather, and you just kind of stroke the feathers backwards. So that way you end up with this here. Okay? And then you're going to take the feather, and you want to put it the round side down. You want it to go down like this. Get it positioned, and then one loose wrap around the feather just to trap it. You get that trapped down in there. Just give it a couple loose wraps, like so. That way the feather gets trapped back down behind the bead. So, there we go. Then you cut off the extra there. And once you cut that piece off, you can actually hold the feather in place and give it a couple more wraps, like so. And that'll hold everything in place. So now, this part can be a little tricky because the ends of these feathers are super delicate. So you take your hackle pliers, these here. These aren't like super nice ones. They're not, I mean, as you can see, I don't have like this super expensive vise. And you clip it to the end of the feather, like so. And it is a lot easier if you have a bobbin cradle, but I just move my thread down. So then you start wrapping your feather around. See, it came right off. You got to be super careful. All right, let's get a good grip on that. There we go. Now when you're doing this, don't pull. You don't want to pull on your hackle pliers. You just want to wrap it around, and as you're wrapping it, kind of pull the feathers back, because that's what you want. You want this back. You want the feathers to kind of lay back on the fly. Get your wraps in. That actually looks pretty good. Leave your hackle pliers on, and then go on one side, the other, and then just keep going back and forth until you have that feather trapped behind the bead. That's what you want. Then after you do, make sure you're only cutting the feather, not your thread. And then you can go ahead and make a few more wraps on your fly. And that's basically done. Now, if you don't have a whip finisher, here's the way I tie off my thread. You bring it down. It's just like a little half hitch. You take your two fingers, lay them on this side of the thread towards your body, and then you bring your bobbin up, and you make a loop around the bead. And then you just pull that loop snug. And I usually do like 2 or 3 just to make sure it's on there really good. Like so. That's 2. And then it's good. Just kind of give it a little tug. Not hard enough to break the thread. And then you could just cut your thread. Then take, where is it? Hold on. I guess I should have been a little more organized. Oh, there it is. Water-based head cement. And you just take this stuff here and put it right on the head of the fly. If you put a little dot of it, it'll actually kind of make its way around the bead, so you don't have to worry about it. And that is an orange soft hackle. That's it. See if I can get it close here so you can get a good look at it. Here we go. That right there is an orange soft hackle. I'll put a picture of it up. See, a lot of you might think the hackle feathers are kind of long, but I kind of like that because I think it's the hackle feathers that give the fly, you know, it gives it motion. So it's the attractor part of it. So making them a little long isn't a big deal. But that, like I said, that is a partridge in orange. Thank you for watching. Now remember, this is my first fly tying video. So please be gentle. Fly Fishing Ninja out.